Before we get to the new material, let's briefly review what we talked about in previous section. You learned how to check the Upwork demand for your service, analyze competitors, optimize your profile to make it suitable for clients and the Upwork ranking algorithm, and create your own project to look for competitors and better understand potential customers. Now, let's get to the most interesting part. In this section, we discuss how to separate the best projects in the search results. You will learn how a project's filtering differs when you are an Upwork beginner or an experienced performer. I also show you the main criteria to take a look at when you validate filtered projects and clients. Let's start. The main thing you need to understand about Upwork is that it is the biggest platform for job and performer search. That means there is nothing special in seeing an uncountable amount of projects in almost all digital niches. Thus, your number one task when you begin applying for a job is to separate all irrelevant proposals. Upwork has a lot of different filters that can make this easy. Let's go through all the basic filters to see the principles of their work and how they can assist you in finding suitable projects. To do this, let's go back to the Freelancer's profile and move on to the search field. As we did previously, choose Jobs from the drop-down menu and click Search. Now, the search results appear so we can start adding our filters. The first basic adjustment we make is to use the category filter as we did it in order to see demand in our first lectures. For example, let's choose branding and logo design, and you will see how the number of projects decreases significantly. However, always remember that similar projects can have different categories, so don't hesitate to experiment with choosing various ones. I advise you not to use a lot of categories in one filter. It will be more beneficial to make a lot of different filters with each category separate. In Upwork, you have the opportunity to save each filter and thus comfortably switch between projects from different categories. Later, I will show you how to do so. The next thing you can set up is the experience level. No one from the client will agree to task being performed by a beginner. Despite the simplicity of the task, customers don't like to think about going through this process again because the freelancer is not experienced enough. One explanation of this phenomenon is that the customers on entry-level projects are not ready to pay competitive prices on the market. It also means that the compensation of your job will be less than what freelancers usually get on such projects. So let's choose only the intermediate and expert levels. Now let's move on to the job type filter. This allows you to choose an hourly rate or a fixed price and add a money range to work with. Setting up this adjustment depends on your work experience, whether you are a beginner or an expert performer. We'll talk about it more in our next lecture, but for now I advise you to adhere to two simple rules. Number 1. No dumping. From the previous lectures, you might remember that dumping or choosing a price that's too low for your service only increases the number of competitors and cuts down on the number of customers. Number 2. Begin with tough price filters, choosing the most suitable sum for you or even a bit more. Make this range wider step by step, if there aren't enough projects with the desired compensation. For example, let's choose an hourly rate of $40 to $70 to see the number of proposals. The next filters I won't show are the number of proposals, client info, and client history. Despite the level of competition, in your niche, fresh projects can get more than 20 proposals in the first half hour after publication. So using the filter number of proposals only makes sense if you are constantly monitoring the project and ready to answer immediately. Let's keep this parameter for now. Moving on to my previous clients, I want to say that this adjustment will be more and more beneficial as the number of completed projects grows. I advise you to save the filter with these parameters separately from others so you have the opportunity to see new projects from previous customers immediately. Sometimes there might be a situation where you collaborated a long time ago, A customer has changed the person responsible for working with freelancers, or a client might order another service from you and not know you can complete their current task. So they might publish a new project instead of coming back to you as a non-performer. So I'm not setting up this point at this moment, but you can go back to that after getting your first clients. Or you can use it if you have already performed on Upwork before watching this course. At the same time, such adjustments as payment verified and client history will be your best assistance at the beginning of your career, as unverified bank data or no hiring experience tells us that the customer hasn't worked with freelancers previously yet. In this situation, when you are both newcomers on Upwork, there is a high probability that something will go wrong. So I will add payment verified and hiring experience options to our filtration. Scrolling down, you can find plenty of other filters that can assist you as a beginner. For example, there is a client location filter. Why it's so beneficial? Upwork is a global platform, and I recommend using this advantage to find clients from countries that pay more than your mother country. But at the same time, being a beginner on Upwork, you can collaborate with local clients and emphasize that you speak the same language, understand their mentality, and can work concurrently. This gives you an advantage in terms of getting the client compared to other freelancers. Time zones filters can make your collaboration competitive as well. Even if you want to work with different countries, you can select the same time zone. This gives you a small advantage as you are available to react immediately to clients' requests and provide results during working hours. The last basic settings we will talk about are project lengths, hours per week, and connects needed. The information about the project is always filled in by customers, but that does not mean it has been done so correctly. People tend not to know how much time is required for completing their orders. So I advise you to skip project lengths and hours per week in general when you work with filtration. Talking about connects needed, adding this filter is up to your situation. If you don't have enough connects and want to send more offers, why not? But remember, that quality is always more important than number. As you might guess, applying any filters cuts down on your project choice. So I want to encourage you to not use all the adjustments at once, because you risk finding nothing. Choose the most important criteria for you and add them step by step until you see the convenient number of projects to work with. Don't be afraid to experiment with filters and find your perfect solutions in searching for projects.